Now, one of the latest rumours that has taken the Formula One world by storm is Fernando Alonso's apparent commitment to Red Bull. And while it does sound like a far-fetched scenario, and many of the fans feel it's just another clickbaity story, the situation is not exactly how it looks. Aston Martin is currently in a very bad situation, development-wise. And while Alonso showed gratitude for one of his best seasons so far, having won 7 podiums in 2023, his habit of leaving teams when stuff goes south may show its true colours yet again, as Aston Martin's future in the sport is not as secured as you'd think. With this in mind, what are the chances of us seeing Alonso in a Red Bull? And more importantly, what's Horner and Alonso's take on this entire situation? It is, without doubt, one of the wildest F1 rumours that's been heard around in the sport in quite some time. Fernando Alonso joining Red Bull. And while there are few things that would do greater pleasure to us, the F1 fans, this might be a kind of far-fetched scenario that is cooking in the background. A lot of media has caught up on the recent talks in the Formula One world, and some of the journalists confirmed that the rumour is actually coming from the higher establishment, not from some random people. Considering that the downfall of Aston Martin is too big to believe that it won't affect the team in the long term. And this is Fernando Alonso we're talking about, the man who left Alpine in a rush because in the moment there was a juicier offer at the table. One that his old nemesis Sebastian Vettel left behind himself with his retirement announcement. Now, 1 year later, he has the opportunity to shake up the F1 world yet again, but this time, the team that he's been linked with has no need to prove to him that they have the championship-winning machinery in their hands, as it's all visible on the track. Fernando Alonso could be set to ditch Aston Martin after just 1 year spent with the team, and that's been started as a rumour after his last statement that the team is going nowhere and they're going to lose all of the battles until the end of the season thanks to their wrong choices of upgrades. What's even more worrying is the fact that these upgrades, in fact, turned out to work wonders for teams like Mercedes and McLaren. And in the second half of the season, Aston Martin has definitely taken the wrong turn, and that's visible in their results. Even though Alonso has 3 times more points than his teammate, he's currently 5th in the Drivers' Championship, and he believes that he will lose a couple of more places and fall to 7th, mostly because there's nothing much he can do with the machinery he's using right now. Elaborating on this matter, Alonso said, "Honestly, we're not fighting for anything. We will learn, even if we have to start from the pit lane, and you know that's more useful than just spending the weekend. In the Constructors' Championship, we're locked in the position we are. In the Drivers' Championship, we'll lose a couple of places. But I mean, it's incredible that we're in front of Ferraris or George or Lando or whatever, but we will lose those positions. They have a very fast car, and yet, let's see what we can do." And this is something that's been transferred from Mike Crack as well, as he elaborated how furious Alonso was due to the fact that the car was not able to finish 2 races in a row in Austin and Mexico. Talking about it, Mike said, "Alonso has won more than 30 races and owns 2 titles, so when he spins, something is wrong. He was not happy and we need to give him a better car. If we don't give our drivers a good car, they can't do anything. They're passengers." But how can Aston Martin make sure that their drivers have a proper car yet again after the first half of the season, where Alonso managed to win 6 podiums out of 8 venues and in the remainder of the calendar only stepped on the podium in Zandvoort? The answer lies in the technical director of the team, one whose expertise was brought under a lot of scrutiny from Ralf Schumacher and Helmut Marko. Obviously, Dan Fallows transferred all of his knowledge from Red Bull, but when the time came for him to make his own decisions, it did look like the Silverstone-based squad took the wrong turn. What's even more unpredictable is the ownership of the team, as there are constant rumours about Lawrence Stroll selling the team due to him being unable to keep up the sponsors, as his son, the second driver in the team, is delivering subpar results in Aston Martin, and that's painting a bad picture for the progress of the team. Now, Lawrence has a legitimate reason to worry that his team might not actually be on the right path. And therefore, lots of promises that he made to his sponsors are going to waste. And considering the current performance of his son, selling the team might actually not be that bad of an idea after all. In this case, nothing would keep Lance at bay, and with the current situation in Red Bull, the team might as well consider bringing a 2-time world champion after all next to Verstappen. But is this something that Red Bull actually wants? And what is Horner's take on this entire situation? The team has placed a lot of importance on both drivers finishing 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship, and while that mission seems like the one that will determine Perez's future with the team, Horner and Marco have been adamant that this is not the case and the Mexican seat is safe and sound. Still, the rumours didn't stop circulating even after Horner and Marco tried to squash it, and when being asked about Alonso replacing Perez and both of them actually switching their positions, Horner said, "If you put two extreme alphas in a team, it'll tear the team apart. So you always want to achieve, I think, the right balance. That's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned." However, there are certain speculations that Alonso has been offered the secured second drive in the Red Bull as long as he does not pose a threat to Verstappen's championship reign, something that the Spaniard would have a tough time accepting had it been a couple of years ago. But at the age of 43, and with the current situation he's in, this deal doesn't sound like too bad of an arrangement after all, as the two-time world champion will be able to win a couple more races until he retires and solidify Red Bull's position as the most dominant team during the 2022-2026 regulated era. Now, these are the rumours, and while it does sound a bit hard to believe them, there is a certain aura that we cannot give up on when we talk about Alonso pairing up with Verstappen. We must also not forget about Red Bull's new ownership and F1's Liberty Media's wishes, a pair of drivers that will be able to fight for the championship with the same team in the same manner, like Rosberg and Hamilton did back in 2016. Yes, it might be looking like Red Bull are shooting themselves in the leg with this kind of request, but believe me when I say this will definitely ramp up the reputation of the team and its popularity, and more likely than not, Red Bull's competitiveness will increase the popularity of the sport as well, as right now, the one-sided dominance from Verstappen does seem like a boring show to witness after Perez's recent slump of performance. Some of the F1 experts and analysts are squashing the rumours right after they exited the F1 paddock, and one of them is Craig Slater, who works for Sky Sports. After Albert Fabrega alluded on Twitter that he doesn't want to believe the rumour I've been told now in the paddock, Slater felt like it was only right to give a proper verdict on this entire situation, alluring, "Can we get rid of the elephant in the room, which is Fernando Alonso potentially going to Red Bull? My understanding is that it's a non-starter. It's not going to happen. As much as they admire Alonso and what he can do, he's not above Ricciardo, as far as I understand it, as an option to drive for that team next year." Some senior and well-placed people have told me that maybe Alonso's management have been doing their due diligence again and assessing whether there are any better options for him next year. Perhaps that's been inflated into he's going to take Perez's seat rather than Ricciardo. Well, all sides have different opinions. We're asking you, do you believe in the rumours that Alonso might be joining Red Bull in the foreseeable future? Let us know in the comments down below.